Here are my most important common mistakes beginners and new players do in Path of Exile 2. But many early frustrations come from a handful of avoidable mistakes. By paying attention to your gear, currency, defenses, and progression, you can make your journey through Rayclast much smoother. This guide covers the most common pitfalls and how to avoid them. Many new players in Path of Exile 2 run into problems because they don't update their weapons often enough. Since your weapon is the main source of damage, sticking with a weak one results in extremely low output. It's important to check vendors regularly for new upgrades, because even small changes in base physical damage make a huge difference. For example, upgrading from a weapon with 7 to 12 base damage to one with 16 to 26 dramatically increases effectiveness, and modifiers on top multiply this further. Using blacksmith's whetstones is also crucial since they boost damage by up to 20%. These can be obtained by salvaging quality weapons or farming in certain areas, such as the modern quarry in Act 2. Artificer's orbs also help by adding rune sockets to martial weapons, and inserting runes like an iron rune can further enhance damage. However, these are relatively rare, so it's better to use them sparingly, saving them for important upgrades or when a good base item needs extra power. Gold management is another area where mistakes are common. While gold is vital early on for vendor purchases, many players waste it on gambling. Gambling should be treated as a last resort, not a main strategy since it is highly unreliable. Checking vendors regularly for strong base items is usually a safer and more rewarding approach. Wasting currency orbs is also a trap. Common ones like transmutations and augmentations are fine to experiment with, but rare orbs like regals, exalteds, and alchemies should be saved for meaningful upgrades. Using them on low-value gear early on is inefficient. Instead, focus these valuable resources on weapons or high-quality bases that will carry you through tougher content. Permanent buff quests are another key element that players miss. On the map overlay, skulls with a plus icon indicate guaranteed buffs, such as permanent increases to spirit, passive points, and even hidden support gems. Completing these quests grants rewards that can significantly strengthen your character. There are also guaranteed drops like Artificer's orbs and Jeweler's orbs that appear at specific points in the campaign. Skipping these means losing out on long-term power. Another mistake is neglecting resistances and defenses during the campaign. Keeping resistances close to the 75% cap is critical, especially since different acts emphasize different types of damage. Cold resistance is important in Act 1 against Geonor, while Act 2 requires fire resistance early on and lightning resistance later. Act 3 introduces more fire and chaos damage, making resistance planning even more essential. Alongside this, players should continually refresh their flask setup and follow build guides for defensive layers where possible. Jewelry is another overlooked aspect. Rings and amulets come with implicit modifiers that can patch resistances, provide extra attributes, or give useful bonuses like cast speed or accuracy. Early in the campaign, these can be the difference between equipping an important gem or surviving a dangerous boss. Checking vendors for useful jewelry should become a habit. One of the biggest missed opportunities is ignoring ascendancy trials. Ascendancies grant enormous power spikes, offering both offensive and defensive boosts depending on the class. For example, gaining Tailwind on skill use provides increased speed and survivability. Completing trials as soon as they are available prevents unnecessary struggles later, yet many players delay until mapping, which only slows down progress. Another oversight is failing to keep flasks updated. Early in the game, life recovery is scarce, so flasks are one of the most reliable ways to restore health and mana. As you level up, stronger flask bases appear, each recovering much more than the previous tier. Knowing when these become available and replacing old ones as you go keeps survivability high.